Have you ever wondered why, despite its proximity to mainland Africa, so little of Madagascar's population resides on its west coast? Welcome to the enigma of Madagascar's west coast. This is a land where the paradox is as captivating as the landscape itself. Just off the southeastern coast of Africa, Madagascar, the world's fourth largest island, boasts a land area of 227,813 square miles. Yet, its western coastline, despite lying closer to mainland Africa, is sparsely populated. Strange, isn't it? To put this into perspective, imagine a football field. Now, imagine that one side of the field, the one closer to the spectators, is almost empty, while the other side, further away, is packed full. That's the population distribution puzzle of Madagascar's west coast. So, what's the story behind this peculiar demographic distribution? Well, it's not as straightforward as you might think. On the surface, the west coast of Madagascar, with its proximity to mainland Africa, should be teeming with life. But that's not the case. Madagascar, often referred to as the eighth continent, is a land of stunning biodiversity, with thousands of unique species that can't be found anywhere else in the world. Its geographical location, separated by the Mozambique Channel from the African mainland, has allowed it to develop a unique ecosystem. But this same geographical isolation might also be a factor in the West Coast's underpopulation. Perhaps the West Coast's sparse population is a testament to the island's unique geographical position and the challenges it presents, or maybe there's more to the story. After all, geography is just one piece of the puzzle. In this video, we will delve into the geographical factors that might be influencing this peculiar population distribution. So buckle up and prepare for a journey into the enigma of Madagascar's west coast. When we think about population distribution, geographical factors play a pivotal role. Now, what do we mean by geographical factors? Well, these are elements of the physical environment that impact where people choose to establish their homes, communities, and civilizations. And there are three main categories we can consider: climate, landforms, and water bodies. Starting with climate, it's no secret that certain climates are more hospitable to human life than others. Think of the difference between a temperate Mediterranean climate, with its mild winters and warm, dry summers, and the extreme cold of the Arctic tundra. Given the choice, most people would prefer to live in the former. That's because the climate affects everything from the food we can grow to the types of homes we can build. Then, we have landforms. These are physical features of the Earth's surface, like mountains, valleys, and plains. Some landforms are more conducive to human habitation than others. For instance, flat, fertile plains are perfect for agriculture, while steep, rocky mountains can be challenging to navigate and cultivate. Lastly, we have water bodies. Rivers, lakes, and oceans are crucial for human survival. They provide us with water for drinking and irrigation, food through fishing, and avenues for transportation and trade. But they can also pose challenges. Coastal areas, for instance, are prone to storms and flooding, which can make them less desirable places to live. So, when we look at a map and wonder why people live where they do, these are some of the factors we need to consider. It's a complex interplay of climate, landforms, and water bodies, each influencing where and how people can live. But how does all this tie into our question about Madagascar's west coast? Why, despite its proximity to mainland Africa, is this region so sparsely populated? So, how do these factors come into play in the case of Madagascar's west coast? Let's find out. Firstly, the climate on Madagascar's west coast is quite harsh and extreme. Imagine standing on the edge of a sandy beach, the sun beating down with such intensity that the sand beneath your feet feels like a sizzling griddle. Welcome to the semi-arid climate of Madagascar's west coast. This region is characterized by high temperatures that can soar up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit in the hot season, making it a formidable place to live. But it's not just the scorching sun that makes the climate here challenging. The rainfall patterns are as unpredictable as a game of dice. Some years, the rain pours down in buckets, turning the dry, cracked ground into a muddy quagmire. Other years, the clouds withhold their bounty and the land starves for water. These erratic rainfall patterns make it difficult to predict when and how much to plant, which can lead to crop failure and food insecurity. Beyond the unpredictability, the rain itself can be a double-edged sword. While it's desperately needed to quench the parched land, too much of it can result in devastating floods that wash away homes and crops. On the other hand, too little rain turns the region into a dust bowl, making farming a near impossible task. Living in such conditions is like constantly walking a tightrope. Every day is a gamble, betting against the weather and hoping for a favorable outcome. This harsh climate is not just an inconvenience, it's a serious obstacle to survival and prosperity. Farming, a primary source of livelihood for many, becomes a Herculean task in these conditions. The soil, baked to hardness by the relentless sun, resists the plow. The uncertain rains make the seed sown a risky investment. The result? Lower crop yields and increased food insecurity, adding another layer of challenge to the already difficult living conditions. The challenging climate certainly plays a role in the sparse population, but it's not the only factor. The harsh climate is just one piece of the puzzle, explaining why so few people choose to make the west coast of Madagascar their home. There are other pieces to this puzzle, and as we delve deeper, the picture will become clearer. Geographical barriers can also significantly influence where people choose to settle. On Madagascar's west coast, these barriers are both unique and imposing, presenting a formidable challenge to potential settlers. One of the most striking geographical features of the region is the Tsingy limestone formations. Tsingy, a term that translates to "where one cannot walk barefoot," is an apt description for these jagged needle-like formations. These eerie and beautiful landscapes are a sight to behold, but they render large tracts of land virtually impassable. For the inhabitants, this means limited accessibility to different areas, making it difficult to establish and maintain communities. In addition to the Tsingy formations, the west coast of Madagascar is also characterized by a lack of navigable rivers. Rivers have historically served as vital lifelines for human civilizations, providing water for consumption and agriculture, means of transportation, and access to diverse resources. However, the rivers in this region are often shallow, filled with rapids, or seasonally dry, making them unreliable for consistent use. This absence of navigable rivers, coupled with the Tsingy formations, severely restricts the movement of people and goods. It significantly hampers the development of infrastructure like roads and bridges, making even basic tasks like travel and trade a daunting challenge. Moreover, these geographical barriers also limit access to vital resources. Without easy access to waterways for irrigation, farming becomes a strenuous and often unviable undertaking. The lack of reliable transportation routes also means that essential goods, services, and opportunities for trade are often out of reach. In essence, these geographical barriers create a kind of isolation. They form a physical wall that separates the west coast from the rest of Madagascar, and indeed from the rest of the world. These geographical barriers, in combination with the harsh climate, create unfavorable living conditions on the west coast. Despite its proximity to mainland Africa, the west coast of Madagascar remains sparsely populated, a testament to the power of geography in shaping human settlement and survival. So, we've uncovered some of the major geographical factors influencing the sparse population on Madagascar's west coast. Let's take a quick stroll down memory lane. We began our journey by unraveling the puzzle of why Madagascar's west coast, despite being closer to mainland Africa, is so sparsely populated. The answer, as we discovered, lies in a combination of geographical and climatic factors. We delved into the harsh climate of this region, characterized by its dry, semi-arid conditions. This climate, largely influenced by the region's geography, creates a challenging environment for human habitation and agriculture. The absence of reliable rainfall and the extreme temperatures make it difficult for people to thrive, despite the region's breathtaking beauty and close proximity to the African continent. Next, we explored the geographical barriers that further complicate life on the west coast of Madagascar. The towering Tsingy limestone formations, the vast mangrove forests, and the formidable Mozambique Channel all pose significant challenges to human settlement and transportation. These natural barriers have made access to and from the region both treacherous and difficult, further discouraging human settlement. These geographical barriers and harsh climatic conditions, when combined, paint a clear picture. They create an environment that, while beautiful and unique, is harsh and unforgiving. They make it difficult, if not impossible, for large populations to thrive. They have shaped the way of life for those who do choose to call this rugged landscape home, and they continue to influence the distribution of population on this fascinating island. In conclusion, our journey across the west coast of Madagascar has revealed how geography and climate can greatly influence population distribution. It's a stark reminder of how the natural world can shape human patterns of settlement even in the modern age. These factors provide a compelling explanation for why so few people live on Madagascar's west coast, despite its proximity to mainland Africa. Remember, geography often holds the keys to understanding population patterns across the globe.